When life gives you lemons, you make lemonade, right? Well, that sounds like some boggy wisdom to me. My name is Rich Hanlon, and for this segment of My Wild Neighbors, I welcome you to the Boggy Boardwalk at the Boreal Life Trail at Paul Smith's Visitor Interpretive Center. And if you have ever felt like life has given you lemons, you may be able to relate to some of these bog plants here. Let's take a closer look. The first thing I want to show you is that everything here is growing on a thick bed of sphagnum moss. And where you have sphagnum moss growing on top of more sphagnum moss, it creates a very acidic environment, which is a nutrient poor environment, because the natural process of decay is not free to unfold. Things that fall in here and die, whether it be a dead animal or a dead plant, simply gets preserved within the very acidic sphagnum or peat moss in the bog. And so these plants that live here, it's like this: when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. They've had to find ways to adapt to this nitrogen, nutrient poor environment. Let's take a look at some of these different plants and the strategies that they have employed to thrive here. Here's a variety of cotton sedge, and when life gives the cotton sedge lemons, it makes lemonade by digging deep down below the level of the deepest sphagnum moss into the nutrient-rich soil beneath it all. Here's a plant called leatherleaf, and the leatherleaf plant employs a strategy that is actually common among forest plants in this nutrient-poor environment. The leatherleaf roots nurture connections with specialized fungi called mycorrhizae, which means fungus root, and the fungi helps the plant to unlock the nutrients, the nitrogen that it needs in this nutrient poor environment. And you can tell it's thriving right here along the boardwalk trail. These trees behind me here are black spruce. One of the spruce trees uniquely adapted to this nutrient poor environment. You can see some tall trees back here and some shorter trees up closer. And these are likely connected with the same root system. So, and you also have a whole bunch of different lichens, which is a symbiotic organism, combination organism between a fungus and an algae, and often a cyanobacteria. That have forged this unique relationship together. And lichens, I wonder how significant they are in this boggy environment, because lichens are one of the few organisms that can successfully take nitrogen from the air and bring it into their own bodies, and then through their bodies, when they fall into the ground, that nitrogen is made available to the trees and the other plants in the forest. So I wonder how significant it is that the lichens are growing even on the roots, where the roots are slightly exposed here in the bog. And if you are a tree that is growing on sphagnum moss, it's very loose footing, and you need some stability. And so when life gives you lemons, if you're a black spruce, your response is to branch out. And so the larger trees and the smaller trees are likely connected with the same root system, and they tend to sprawl. Probably a lot of different trees connected with the same very old root system. In the heart of the bog here, we have a very unique plant, and it is called the pitcher plant. It's one of those plants that is known as a carnivorous plant. Now, it does have some green pigment on the leaves, so it's making energy, able to make energy from the sunlight, but again, it's living in this nutrient poor environment, and so it's not through its roots able to obtain the nitrogen that it needs for its growth. Let's take a closer look at this one. Here's the flower of the pitcher plant. It kind of reminds me of a red apple. It's not an apple, don't eat it. Here's the actual flower part right there. It's kind of past its prime. That's the flower, and here is the modified leaves of the pitcher plant right here, and these are modified in a way that they collect water inside of them, And when insects that are flying around this bog fall into this pitcher and land in the water down there, the plant will actually digest the insect, and that is how they will obtain the nitrogen. When life gives you lemons, cotton sedge might say, dig deep. When life gives you lemons, leatherleaf plants might say, nurture new relationships with some fungi. When life gives you lemons, if you're a black spruce, you branch out. When life gives you lemons, if you're a pitcher plant, you think outside the box. Life is hard. And if in your current season of life, you're feeling like life has given you lemons, take a lesson from the bog plants. Don't give up. Dig deep. Branch out. Nurture some new relationships with some fungi. And think outside the box. Well, thank you for joining me at the Bog Boardwalk at the Boreal Life Trail at Paul Smith's Visitor Interpretive Center. I'll see you next time.